The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, Episode 9.
Lieutenant West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Howdy and welcome to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies and series, including SG-1, Atlantis Universe, and more. I'm Father Cory and I'm taking over for Jack Berzini this week. He unfortunately had to travel through the Stargate on a secret mission, and he couldn't be with us this week. Fortunately, Lisa Jones and Victor Lambs are able to be here. So how's it going, Lisa?
It's pretty good. Pretty good. How about you?
Doing well. And how about you there, Victor?
Doing great here. Thanks, Father Cory.
Yeah, well, glad to be here and glad to take over for Jack. He did have work obligations, so he wasn't able to join us, but I can fill in because I've done one or two of these podcasts before. Today we're discussing the 8th episode of the first season of SG-1, Brief Candle, and Victor is volunteered to do the summary. So, Victor, why don't you tell us about this episode? Give us our summary.
Well, thanks, Father Cory. So in this episode, Jack and the gang arrive on Argos, where the Stargate is situated on a very swanky pad next to a large statue of the Goa'uld Pelops. They're joined soon by two natives, Alikos and Thetis, who enlist Daniel into delivering their baby after Carter defies gender stereotypes. And then they name their baby Dan-El in honor of him. It turns out SG-1 has found themselves on a planet of attractive people, based on the Mycenaean civilization, and at the bris, a native named Cynthia, that's with a K, offers Jack some cake, which has apparently been laced with THC because after Jack eats it, he starts tripping. One thing leads to another, and he wakes up next morning in bed with Cynthia, with a K, and feeling very hungover. And it soon becomes apparent to the gang that everyone on Argos is aging super quickly, including baby Dan-El, who now appears to be 4 years old. Cynthia, with a K, for example, reveals that she's only 31 days old, and that she believes herself married to Jack since he ate her wedding edible. And to add injury to insult, it also appears that Jack is now aging very rapidly as well. Hammond won't let Jack back home, but does allow Carter and Dr. Fraser to have a look at his blood, which is filled with tiny self-replicating nanocytes, not to be confused with nanites or replicators because they are both. And back on Argos, Jack's old age makeup goes from bad to worse as he transitions into a crazy old coot. But after convincing the Argosians that their condition is a result of a Goa'uld experimentation, he gets them angry enough to channel their inner Antifa and topple the statue of Pelops. SG-1 says their goodbyes to Jack via Zoom, and with all the hope of being saved now gone, Jack opens himself up to Cynthia with a K emotionally, and then he discovers the true secret of the nanocytes. They're operated by a remote transmitter, which is in the base of the toppled statue. The transmitter is broken, the day is saved, and we learn that Jack will eventually revert to his prior age. But only Jack, because his nanocytes were just kidding around, I guess. And because having Cynthia with a K revert to a month-old baby in front of the audience would make their tearful goodbye very, very creepy. And I should note that this episode was written by Catherine with a K Powers.
Uh-huh. Now that everybody's offended. Okay. And Antifa's coming for you, Victor. No.
Yeah, I know. I had to specify it because oftentimes you'll see Cynthia spelled with a C. And so I had to specify that. So,
Lisa, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, the truth?
Yeah.
You know what? This felt like some cheesy, I guess you'd say it reminded me of a Next Generation episode. All the soft colors, the kind of overtly sexual stuff. Yeah.
Wesley standing trial for walking on the grass.
Yeah. I always like Jack. Don't get me wrong, but no, this as an episode, it was a little cringy to watch again.
And how about you there, Victor? I get a feeling that you probably agree. Or
yeah. I mean, yeah, the Stargate franchise comes back to the putting our actors in old age makeup. I think maybe 5 or 6 times past this, maybe more, and each time it's better executed than it is here.
Yeah, I'm a little more on the positive side of this one, but just a little bit. I if you look at it as kind of a goofy episode, it's kind of fun. It's kind of silly. It does. I do agree. It does have definitely the sexualization in there, big time, and we'll talk a little bit about that, in for reasons why they do it. But it's not the worst episode by any stretch of the imagination, and I would still say it's better than most first season next gen episodes. But I didn't realize that. Well, Catherine Powers was involved in it, in at least doing the teleplay for it. So yeah, that so far she's not doing too well. Although next story was one that she wrote, and that's much better. So there is hope there. Well, let's start out with just talking about the planet itself. P3X8596 Argos. It's very much obviously a Greek inspired world, and Argos is named actually for a city in Greece. There is actually a city in Greece named Argos, which is near Corinth. Now, as Christians, where have we heard of Corinth? I think there's some Paul guy went there. It is near Corinth, as in the Corinthians, where St. Paul wrote letters to them. And I did like the Greek influence. I've always liked the Greek architecture. I've always thought it was pretty cool, and the statue was obviously very Greek.
And these people come across a lot better than the Neo-Minoans that we met in, what was it, Broke a Divide?
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a connection there, though. Did you notice that the temple was the same set?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that.
It looks familiar, but
it was I think it really was like the same building, because like where the Stargate was in this one is where they would put the people who were being turned into the Neanderthals.
The cone of shame or whatever it was called.
It was the same. Yeah. So that's obviously, of course, this, first season of the series, they got to save money where they can, So
they probably figured no one would notice.
Yeah, just give it another coat of paint, put a different statue in there. No one's going to tell the difference. But
yeah, I do like how this builds out on the Gould mythology here, is that, the Gould aren't just taking people to use as slaves. Some of them are experimenting on them. In this case, it's implied that he wants to create, Pelops wants to create the super Jaffa, and that's why he's, speeding up evolution. Yeah. And we see this, Nirti is another Gould who's doing something similar, although for different reasons, and who we meet later on. So
yeah, this is surprisingly the only time that we see quote unquote Pelops, although he's mentioned later on. I forgot to write down what the episode one, but it's the one where they're testing the cadets who could potentially become the new members of SG, one of the SG teams. He's mentioned there, but we don't actually see him. He doesn't have any part to play in the actual plot. But it's kind of surprising, because you think this would be something that they would have explored. This Gould, that his only interest is doing testing. He's not out there to conquer the universe and be the system lord of the system lords.
Yeah, I think it would have been a nicer arc for this one if we'd kind of seen him again or referenced him, or because it is the first time we run into one doing something other than just trying to enslave and kill.
Trying to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And they also leave it open in this as to whether or not Pelops is actually still alive or not. I mean, the way Jack wrecks his experiment, you'd think he'd show up right away, but maybe not. But
how many planets have we seen so far where the Gould has just basically said, "Well, I'm done with this," and moved on? And you could imagine that he probably did just that. Well, my experiment's done, but I'm just going to leave him alone. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, it is interesting, because this early on in the season or in the series, it really kind of helps you realize how large the potential is for worlds, right? It's not like every planet they go to, they're running into Gould still there in Jaffa. I mean, so far we haven't really seen that many. So right. It just again opens that door broader for them to explore.
Absolutely. Yeah, And that was a trap they could have very easily fallen into because of budget restrictions and so on. Of, well, we're just going to see Apophis every week. We're just going to see 5,000 the same 5,000 Jaffa every week. But instead, they're able to expand it out with these different actors, especially these different actors and so on. Because that's got to cost money to get different people to come in as guests. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some good Goa'uld tech in this one too. The little Kindle that they find next to the statue.
The Kindle.
And
yeah,
and that was kind of neat. And it was like a paperwhite where the pages turn and stuff. And good interplay between Daniel Jackson and Teal'c about how the obscure dialect of Goa'uld is like linear A script and translating it and stuff. So I thought that part was
why
nice.
Why didn't you tell me? He says, you didn't ask.
Yeah. Basically, you didn't. I can't remember exactly how he put it, but that's basically what he said. And also, we had the transmitter, which that was interesting. Although you wonder how long it's been that this experiment has basically been running on its own. Where the god just basically left it, and how long that transmitter has been sitting there running, which means Goa'uld obviously have very good batteries.
They also have like very good food supplies too to feed the civilization for as long as they've been there, unless it's like the Dharma Initiative, like airdropping supplies.
So I wasn't the only one who thought about that, huh? They've got 100 days, right? And they just party for 100 days. And I'm thinking, so who's getting their food? Who's making their clothes? Like, what's going on? And then I'm like, stop. Quit overthinking it.
And like, how do they learn to talk by like day 6, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their brains must be like super evolved or something.
But we did
kind
realize
of like
they can't write.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, we've seen that before in Stargate, where the Goa'uld have purposely withheld the act of writing from Abydos, where they weren't allowed to, even just the act of someone else writing was forbidden. And, and that they would react badly if someone was ever caught actually doing any kind of written language. So that's not unbelievable. But yeah, like who did Cynthia make that cake all of a sudden, or was it in the deep freeze somewhere, the Goa'uld deep freeze somewhere, or
she just keeps one nearby, just in case someone shows up or
we didn't
someone
see
catches her eye that day.
Yeah. We didn't see the Goa'uld replicators around the corner apparently.
The wedding cake vending machines there, just like spitting them out. I thought it would have been neat though at the end if all of the like Argosians had like devolved into like babies, but still kept their ability to like talk and do stuff. And then they could have been like a planet of baby geniuses, and like they could have like come back every once in a while, and there'd be all these little babies running around. And I don't know. I thought that would have been neat, but I guess for reasons they didn't do that.
That was one of my questions, because of course at the end they'd say that Jack is going to go back, and of course we know he is, because next week he's got to be back to his old 40-ish year old self, and so he's going to have to go back. But it made the appearance in an adult. The nanites, for whatever reason, makes it look like he's getting old, but he's not really getting old, even though he mentioned having health issues that come with age. But that's another story.
Yes.
And not to mention was walking like someone who was in their 80s that was having bad knees and everything. But at least they didn't do the Star Trek. Well, the transporter will just beam him through the transporter. That'll fix it. When he walks through the gate, that'll fix it. No, but yeah, that was the question I had too. And they did kind of hang a lantern on that of, well, what about the Argosians? And it's like, well, because they're from kids, they've been having this from being a child. It's just going to stop at that point, and they're going to have normal development from there. So, like I said, kind of hang a lantern on it, but.
Yeah. And apparently the nanocytes, which I thought it was really cool that they were adapting to the point where they would like eat Carter's gloves.
Yeah.
Because that does it does prefigure the replicators, and then the Pegasus Galaxy replicators and all of their little experiments that they did on Dr. Weir. But they can also apparently like selectively grow hair out really long, but not beards, and also change people's accents too.
Yeah,
which was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack O'Neill's accent definitely does change throughout. Gets the "Hey, you kids, get off my lawn!"
Right.
Pelops can't see you. He's just a statue.
Yeah.
Definitely becomes cranky old man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like Richard Dean Anderson saw the script and was like, "Oh, they want me to be an old man. Okay, I'll give him the old man."
I'll give him the crotchety old man.
Yeah.
That is a question. How much latitude did they give him in all these different, episodes, like where he's in the, Broker Divide, right? Where he's become Neanderthal or whatever. How much do they just say, go with it? Whatever you feel about it.
I'm sure he had plenty because he was like the big name actor in this. Right. So I mean, I'm sure he had plenty of. I mean, we talked about before that they changed it from O'Neill with one L to two L's because he wanted to, just a little subtle way to change the character so that he could go with more of the humor that he wanted to do. So I could see him very much. Okay, fine. I'm going to ham up the old man routine.
Yeah, so that's one of the delights of this episode. And there are others too. We get, fortunately, unfortunately, it's not a Nichelle Nichols fan dance, at least. But we get lots of hangover humor as well after the incident.
Yeah. Well, of course, and Cynthia is kind of an interesting character because, of course, yes, she basically seduces him after just meeting him. But, I suppose if you only live 100 days, you got to move quick if you want to have kids and stuff. So.
Well, I was thinking about that, actually. So she was supposed to be, 31. I forget how many days. 31 days.
Yep.
And the couple that we met who are giving birth, right? They said they were 21 days.
Yep.
So she's made it, let's just pause here. She's made it to 31 days and hasn't, or does she have a kid running around out there who's now...
Yeah.
Maybe
or maybe
was her kid. I mean, you think about that. Like, they have a very limited pool of people. So do you just hang out to 31 days waiting for a stranger to walk through the Stargate?
Maybe she only marries people who are like 80 or 90 days old and then like waits for them to die and gets all their stuff.
There you go.
Well, Jack does say that she likes older men.
Yeah.
But I say she's interesting, though, because she really is one of the first that kind of believes him, even if, she's upset when he first, kind of goes off on her. She's one of the first to really kind of believe that, okay, there's more to this than what we think, that this isn't how it's supposed to be. We got her, we got Alekos and Thetis, who are the couple that had the Danelle, not to be confused with Jor-El, but...
Or
Kal-El, yeah. But they're the ones that first believe, and then of course they're the ones that then turn around and topple the statue. So they're kind of interesting that they would be convinced so easily that maybe there is more to this, and you can go out and explore the world, and it's not going to hurt you. You can go out and and then come back and teach others. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good episode. We get Daniel Jackson shooting his mouth off again at General Hammond.
Yeah.
When General Hammond doesn't want another virus coming through the Stargate.
Daniel Jackson hasn't quite gotten this whole military, you don't yell at your superior officer thing.
When does he figure that out?
I think season 10.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's a civilian. He can get away with it.
There you go. Yeah, there were some great little one-liners in this one. Lots of quips, lots of funniness. Let's see that they, what was it? Daniel Jackson said, "This looks like paradise." And because Jack says something's off, and they talk about no one's over 40 and they're all good looking. And what was it? What could go wrong? Take an apple. I thought that was interesting. And then he says that, and then 5 minutes later, he's eating cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
the cake is
rations from now on.
Yeah. The cake is not a lie. Oh wait, that's Portal.
Well, as much cringiness as I felt with this one, my 14-year-old daughter, when this one came on, she's like, "Oh, I remember this one. I like this one." Like, no.
Yeah, this felt like a Star Trek episode all the way through. I mean, even the title is a reference to Shakespeare. It's one of the Macbeth soliloquies, and you know, at least they didn't give Jack a flute, you know, when he left, and that was the only thing that he took with him from the planet. Yeah,
he does kind of ditch Cynthia, though. We never see her again, even though he's supposedly married to her.
That's right.
Don't think it's a sacramental marriage because Jack did not realize he was getting married, so he did not assent to the marriage.
Yes, and there was duress involved, right? Little under the influence of the cake.
Well, and some undressing too.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
we're gonna have to keep track of all of the women that they leave in different ports, right? Between him and actually all three of them.
Yeah.
And then don't worry, Carter has her string of boyfriends.
Yep.
Right? So it's a little equal opportunity later on.
One of the DeLuise brothers, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see a lot of DeLuise later.
Oh, yeah. Including Dom DeLuise, which is an awesome episode. I can't wait till we get to that one.
Yeah. That was a good one.
No, that's one of my favorites. You know, I one thing I do laugh about, of course, and part of this is because this is, you know, an early 90s TV show, mid 90s TV show, is some of the technology. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Carter's sitting there and in the lab looking at the computer. And first of all, I always love the NEC monitors because I wanted one of those so bad. Those were the monitors to get back in the day. Those were the multi-sync. Those were the best monitors until LCDs came out. And of course, she's sitting there and, why did I just blank on her name? The doctor.
Fraser.
Dr. Fraser hands her a floppy disk with all this live video. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, maybe it's a super disk. Maybe it's, you know, the 120 megabyte super disk. It's just, it definitely shows the technology of the time. And I love that you can even hear it click in place. It's like, I recognize that sound. I remember doing that with floppies.
They're using a middle out compression algorithm or something to store all that video on.
You know what's funny is back when this came out, did we have that reaction, or is it only now we're like, So what did you think back then? Did you recognize it for?
You know, again, I watched a little later, but I mean, even when, you know, by the year 2000, 2005, video technology on a computer was if it wasn't on a DVD, it was terrible. You know, you couldn't download videos like you can today. You couldn't, you know, to stream videos, it wouldn't happen. So to see something like that, it still would have been kind of the science fantasy, science fiction type realm. I mean, you know, of course, the funny part is what even about this time, why wouldn't they have just been networked computers? They wouldn't have had to have the little pass of the floppy disk. They said,
that was probably some director or some prop guy that's like, hey, it looks better if you hand them something.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. It's like handing a USB key or something today, you know.
Right.
Or a CD-ROM with like tiny robots written on it in Sharpie or something.
Yeah. That sounds like the title of an album from someone, or a band.
Oh, yes.
That sounds like a band, Tiny Robots.
Yeah.
But and then of course we got the nanites that can eat through the gloves. Not airborne though. That's a good thing. But then they put on the NBC gear, the nuclear, biological, and chem gear. It's like, okay, we already know it can eat through the gloves. Those masks probably don't stand a chance.
But then they take it off immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they just wore
through,
they just
and
wore
they take it off.
Yeah, they wore it because General Hammond ordered them to. You know it.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't see us anymore.
Yeah. Get to the bus stop, take your winter coat off, you know. Yeah.
or you know, you go to a store where you know you can get away with not wearing a mask.
I was going to make that, yes. Oh, they didn't have the mandatory sign. Whoops.
Yep, exactly. One thing we do have a mention in this though, and I think it probably is a prefiguring, is Tilk mentions good gold.
Yes.
And of course,
Yes.
Jack, under the influence of wedding cake, laughs about it. But of course, we know later the Tok'ra are good Goa'uld, more or less. Now remind me, when do we actually see them for the first time?
Ooh.
I think it's at the beginning of season 2.
Is it season 2?
Yeah.
I think it's season 2.
I thought it was fairly early on. I knew it wasn't season 1, but I thought it was fairly early on that we get to.
I think so, because
We meet
Cassandra
Jolinar.
is still little.
Yep. So that's and that of course becomes a very important part of going forward, the advancement of especially of humanity and technology and so on, but also of taking care of the Goa'uld. The Tok'ra are a very important part of that. They're very big allies in that. Not always the friendliest allies, but allies nonetheless.
So questionable morals still.
Yep.
It's episode 2 of season 2.
Okay. Yeah. So it is not that far off then. Cool. So it's pretty clear then this was some idea they had from the beginning, that they were going to have kind of this counter Goa'uld race. So that's, so get a little prefiguring that.
Right.
And we also get the first time the word death glider is used.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we hear that all the rest of the way, but it's this the first time that Carter actually says, that that no death glider, that there weren't any death gliders on the planet.
And I noticed in the credits as well, Robert C. Cooper, who had written his first episode, The First Commandment, is now listed as executive story editor for the show. And so you'll start to see the quality of the episodes go up from there.
Must have been brought on after they started recording, after they started filming.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else that you'd like to mention, Lisa?
No, I guess for me, just to jump back to the whole we'll call it the feminist issue. It's funny because for a show that did so well for so many years of having strong female characters and not making an issue out of it, you kind of forget this first season had so many issues with this tropes of women and the way, just the way they handle things,
right?
And so I don't know. I guess I cringe, I laugh. I don't think that I really thought about it back when I first watched it, but now a little bit older, and having teenage young adult girls myself, it's kind of funny. I'm watching it and I'm like, no.
Yeah. I do have to admit,
I know it gets better.
I do have to admit, I did laugh at where they've got this woman in labor and Jack immediately looks at Carter. She's like, I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
I know, she's like, why?
Why are you looking at me? Just because I'm a woman?
Yeah.
And of course, Daniel knows what to do.
Of course he does.
I think that's kind of how it is all the episodes, right? Of course, Daniel knows what to do. He figures it out.
And if Daniel didn't know it, then Teal'c would, because it's an obscure dialect that only 3 people in the universe know, and he happens to be one of them. And
Absolutely.
How about you there, Victor? Anything else you want to?
Well, a couple of observations. I think Jack speaks for all of us when towards the end of the episode, he asks, why aren't we unconscious yet? Why aren't we asleep? It's kind of how I felt by that point. And I believe Shakespeare spoke for all of us too when he said, out, brief candle.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
Sure. So you're saying this is not on either of your rewatch lists?
I'm good.
I
rewatched it, I guess. And now I never have to do that again.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's in Secrets of Doctor Who. I noticed what we're going to be watching in 2 weeks after I finished watching the episode for this week. And I went, oh, no.
But looking forward, I think I shouldn't say that out loud, but I think we're good for a while. I think this is where we really start, getting the meat of the show.
Yeah, we've only got
Yeah.
Thor's Hammer and Torment of Tantalus are in the next 2 weeks. So those both good episodes that kind of fill in more of the lore and the storyline. So yeah, we do have more to look forward to. So definitely keep listening to Secrets of Stargate. We'll get there. We'll get to better stuff. But
And no dinosaurs on a spaceship.
Yeah, that's the next episode in 2 weeks of Doctor Who.
Oh, no.
That's the one where I kind of looked at it and went, oh. So anyways, that's something to look forward to if you're listening to Secrets of Doctor Who when the three of us completely rip that episode apart. So, but for the Secrets of Stargate, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who made it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate and all the SQPN episodes, including Henry S., Joby W., Eric R., Will W., and David W. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Be sure to follow this show and the other StarQuest podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or the SQPN YouTube channel. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. You can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. We have a StarQuest fan club that you can join. You can join the mailing list by texting StarQuest at 66866. Send StarQuest to 66866. We'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1 Thor's Hammer. Until then, Lisa Jones, thank you for joining us in sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Father Cory.
Victor Lambs, thank you as well.
Thanks, Father Cory.
And once again, I'm Father Cory Stika. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest. And remember, yeah, sure, have an apple. What could happen?
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?